Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Tim Peeling and I'm the Bayer Product Manager. I hope you're all well and safe. Welcome to our second webinar. Our first webinar was on Max-Force Platin and K-Author in Partex, and we actually record our webinars, so you can find that on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Bayer Pest Solutions UK. However, today, Richard Moseley in a second is going to talk about our digital pest management solutions. He's going to discuss the features and benefits of this new product. It's going to last roughly around about 30 minutes. It is live, so we've got some opportunities to answer some questions. So Rich is going to run through about a 20-minute presentation, and after that we'll cover as many questions as possible. So on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the opportunity to type some questions. Please do, it's live, and we'll try and answer those as many as possible. So Richard, I think it's over to you.
Okay. I'll say good afternoon, everybody, and again, so welcome to this, our second presentation. And really pleased to be able to talk to you about digital pest management, which is a interesting topic, perhaps a slightly different topic that you would necessarily expect Bayer to be talking about, because obviously we're very well known for our chemicals and our chemical controls and our chemical management. I think one of the things to start off with saying is that although you may not associate this part, the part of Bayer that you know and associate with chemicals, you may not associate us with digital technology. Digital technology is not something that's unusual, and it's found throughout the Bayer family and the other areas and the other services and products that we deliver. So, for example, you've got a slide there, and on the left, that is an image of a spray tray, and that's from the immunity side of our Bayer family, and that uses digital technology to apply very precise amounts of pesticide to weeds while in movement without actually ever stopping. So a very precise way of applying using digital management, digital data to be able to control the target species. And the image in the middle there again is the crop side of the business. And in the crop side of the business, we use drones, satellite images to understand plant health. And mixed with that, there are always sensors, things like that, that are built onto farm machinery that report on soil, water, nutrient levels, and allow a more precise application of the chemicals that are required in that kind of scenario. And on the far right-hand side, there's an image of our pharmaceutical side of the business, where again, digital is becoming more and more important and is used more and more, and very much in the delivery of integrated services to manage chronic health problems, minimising interventions from medical teams and allowing people to very much manage their own situation from health. So again, making the delivery of services much more efficient and much more time delivery is much better. And for us in Bayer, that's really useful in the professional pest control side of the market, because it means we can look across to our colleagues and we can learn from them, and we can also use some of the technology that they're developing and bring it to the market for the benefits of the professional pest control teams and professional pest control bodies. So with that in mind, we move over to the digital offering that we have as the professional pest control side of the business, and we start to look at digital pest management and try to understand about what that means for you as the professional pest control and what that means from us as Bayer. So this is a system that we developed to allow us to monitor rodent activity on site, and very, very useful in a number of situations. One of the main ones is that from a prevention point of view, as you can see there on the slide, what it's allowing you is that capacity to understand exactly what's happening on your site at any moment in time, and it allows the professional pest controller to focus not just on the traps that are on site, but also the associated risks and issues that you have around the site. So it starts to allow the pest controller the flexibility to understand what's happening with the full knowledge that the site is monitored all the time, 24/7, allows them to do more thorough investigation and understand what the situation is between the traps and understand what's likely to cause problems going forward. So very basically, we've got 24/7 monitoring. So as you would expect from a digital pest management rodent system, then as and when there is a problem, you know about it immediately. That's incredibly useful. it means you can take immediate corrective action. And that instant notification is really useful. Even the sites that have the most regular visits, whether it's once a week, then when the pest controller walks away from the site, there's still another 168 hours before that trap is checked again. So there's a lot of time there, a lot of flexibility when issues can occur. And if there's notification straight away on any monitoring point, then of course we can react accordingly as professional pest controllers. And then another important side of the digital pest management system brought to you by Bayer is the way that it uses and manages data and allows us to understand what the issues are with sites. And it also allows us to predict and to understand where the issues are likely to occur, helps with that root cause analysis. And in the final scenario, it has those very concise records to make sure that any site that's using this type of system delivers compliance to whoever requires it, be it an audit body, health and safety, or whatever. So the compliance is there in place. So the features and benefits of the Bayer system: 24/7 automatic system, real-time control verification. So you know instantly when there's a problem, you know when there's something going on, but the system is so much more than that. So of course we have that rapid response and corrective action. So something's gone wrong, you know about it immediately, and this system is smart enough to tell the difference between whether it is rodent activity or whether it's just a trap that's gone off by accident. So there's no issue about the number of traps going off and whether that's given a false positive or a positive impression of the site. The system differentiates between what is an actual capture and what is not an actual capture. And then once you have that information, if you're getting that regular information through, then it improves the root cause analysis, so you understand what the situation is on site, and you can direct your treatments exactly to where they're needed. So there's as a professional pest controller, this is a real tool to actually have that surgical understanding of the site and knowing where the requirements are needed to get on top of a problem before a problem even starts. If you have digital pest management on a site, then what that is doing is allowing you to improve your pest control program constantly. So with the developments, with the information, or with the data that's developed, then you can be far more direct, and also it allows you the time to really investigate the site, to understand what the issues are and predict the issues and put your control measures in place before you ever have a call to a large infestation problem. So it becomes predictive with the analytics. So the more data that you receive, the more data that you take in via the system, then it generates more understanding of the site. We understand where the locations are where we need to be proactive, and the locations are where we need to be monitoring. And then those automated trend lines and reporting, as with any pest control system, it's essential that you have the right documentation, the key documentation at the end of the process. And what this is doing is it's automatically generating the data, be it from an assessment point of view, be it from a trending point of view. All that data is created there for you, and it sits within the system very nicely and can be drawn off at any time. So with all these items in place, then what we automatically get is, with the good data that's generated and the ability to respond very, very rapidly, then we have to have an improvement in food safety, whether that's protecting the food from contamination, whether we're talking about damage on site, those kind of things, from rodent activity. But we know that sites will be safer with this kind of system in place. And of course, if we know about problems as and when they occur immediately, then what that does, that reduces the risk. And that's the risk, be that the risk of damage to site, be that the risk of infection or diseases being spread around the site. Because of course, the key reason we are here as professional pest controllers is to prevent and manage the movement and the activity of public health pests. So anything that supports this and allows us a more direct treatment of this has to be highly beneficial to whichever site is using it. It minimises business disruption, because of course, whether it's gnawing, whether it's contamination, whether it's just the presence of rodents and site closure, those kind of things. But anything that keeps any kind of site that moving and running smoothly and avoiding rodent activity has got to be a useful tool when it comes to the management of this kind of aspect. And of course, we've got the transparency and the compliance. The reports are automatically generated. The information is automatically generated and sent to the various people who need to receive it, be that contractor, be that customer, whoever. So that compliance, that information, it's all time stamped, it's data stamped. So the level of interaction between the site, the customer, the professional pest controller, that grows as the knowledge of the site is developed, and the ability to understand what the problems are on and around the site. And then from an audit point of view, when it comes again to the end of the process, what sits in the file, what sits in the online folder, however you present the information to the auditor, you can always be ensured with this system that the information's there and the auditor's ready to receive it. It ticks all the boxes for what they need to know about the trends and whatnot about the rodent activity on site. So how does it work? How does the system work? Well, you can see a graph there on the right hand side that takes you through the 5 stages of how the information is passed, how it's generated, and how the alerts are received. Well, the system itself is a wireless tireless network of high-tech monitors, and they're strategically placed around the facility. Now, that can be all the facility, it can be a quarter of the facility, it can be wherever you think that these monitors will give you the very best service. And it might be high risk areas, whichever. The system is flexible enough to fit into a site, or it might be the very difficult to reach areas of site that have risk assessment and associated risk with inspecting. So those areas can be very effectively managed with this kind of system, so there's activity even though those areas are very difficult to get into. Part of the system is also from a daily point of view that you will be updated daily on the status of the traps. So there is a heartbeat that comes from this system every day, and that just simply lets whoever needs to know the information, it lets them know that the system is working, it's A-OK, and everything is safe on site, everything is efficient, everything is working OK. The system itself on a daily basis will say, I am A-OK, I am working, and I am still monitoring this site against the activity of rodents and rodents. And those regular checkups that heartbeat will also give you key information such as the battery levels on the monitors that are being used, or any service issues. As I say, if a trap's gone off but it's not actually a capture, then these daily reports, as well as getting the instant reports that the trap's gone off, they'll be backed up by the daily report. So you've got this is the diagnostic tool that shows every day that the system is functioning as it should. And then with this real-time verification, your audit readiness is improved, and you, as the service provider, the professional pest controller, you can really concentrate on those areas that need the detail, that need the inspection, that need to be looked into on a more in-depth basis to give the advice that's ultimately going to prevent further problems. You've got the time to actually study and understand what's going on the site itself. So the system itself, when it's up and running, if you've got it on your site, then it will look very much like this. You can go into it via phone, laptop, any way that you want to access it, you can do. And the site map itself will be a living, breathing document that's working all the time. As soon as something changes on the site, it'll be shown up on the site plan, and it can be amended, moved as required. So it's a living document. So for those site plans that need to be constantly changed, constantly signed, constantly removed for audit purposes, that's gone, because this is a living, breathing document that you can amend in real time, at any time, to make sure that it completely reflects what the site's doing, what the site locations look like, and also that it reflects whatever the issues are with the monitors and traps at that particular moment in time. So the way that the actual monitors are introduced to the site is very, very simple. It's a barcoding system that's all done via smartphone or iPad or Samsung or whatever phone that you have. As long as it's a smartphone, then you're going to be able to drop those monitors onto the site, and it's all done very, very simply. Unique barcodes, put that monitor in its unique place, and then it's alive on the system, it's alive on the site. And for those who need access to the site itself, then the base system has a very efficient and effective portal dashboard system, and that's the real key to this system. It's important that the traps send the messages, and it's important that they alert and tell us whether it is or isn't a problem. But what's really, really unique about the system, it's really, really great about the system, is the way that that data is used, the way that it's captured, the way that it's processed for both the pest controller who needs the information immediately, but also the customer who needs a high level of data, be that from a risk point of view, be that from a trend analysis point of view, be that from a weekly, monthly record. this system will capture that data, and then over time what that data starts to do, it starts to allow us to predict and understand where the situations arise on site, and how we can manage and monitor infestations on site and prevent them becoming issues going forward as we develop this knowledge of site and develop the system on site as well. So the system itself generates two different types of reports. So the first one is the daily area event report. And this is very much the report that would be used by the professional pest controller. So this is the information, this is the diagnostic information that you can receive every day that updates you on what's happening on that site on that day, and tells you just, you know, where the battery issues are, whether there are any, whether there's any false positives. So this is a daily refresher for the pest controller. It's a daily tick of the box to show that this site is safe, it's efficient, and everything's working as it should be. And it's a real call to arms, because if there is an issue, then it's flagged immediately, and the professional pest controller can take the actions that are required to go in and rectify the service and make sure that the site is working perfectly. And this system is flexible enough to allow, say, for example, the pest controller to receive this information every day, but say the pest controller's manager or supervisor to receive this information once a week in a more congested form. And so it's flexible enough to be able to really highlight the issues, but highlight those issues to the person either immediately or on a more gradual process. So someone's got view over the, you know, and the additional view over the system, additional safety net. So if the person on the ground has missed something, then someone further up the chain within the organisation can pick it up. And so it just gives a bit more flexibility and a bit more security with the actual development of the site itself and the monitoring of the site itself. And then the second type of report that the system generates is the system verification report. And this is very much more for the customer's benefit. So this is the overview of the system, the connectivity, the maintenance completion, so the time date stamps of when the pest control has been in and looked at the site, and also the statistical trends as well. So, you know, when it comes to the actual processing of data, when it comes to the development of charts, when it comes to, you know, bringing information for the auditor and what have you, and for what needs to sit in the pest control file. This is very much where this reporting system comes from, and it's all done with the data that's collected. It's all done by the back-end system of Bayer's back-end system that's been developed in conjunction with Microsoft to turn these information, this data, and turn it into usable and presentable reports that are incredibly useful for the customer, but also incredibly useful for their audit bodies and their audit standards as well. And QA, technical managers, auditors, the nice thing about this is this data can be run off daily, weekly, monthly. And if there's 7 people within the organisation who need this data, some can receive it daily, monthly, weekly. All that flexibility is within the system as well, to make sure that whoever needs to see it can see it, but they can see it at the frequency that they need to or want to. And that can always be changed and amended within the actual back-end system, within the Bayer gateway as well. So this is an example of the kind of information that can be drawn off from the system, whether it's heartbeats, so those are those daily heartbeats that are sent out by the traps. If for some reason 1 or 2 of those are missed, then this can be brought out by the data. That suggests that there's some investigation needs to be done on site. So it's clearly it's that security blanket, that safety net again, that makes sure that nothing's slipping by, nothing's being missed. Key information on the big screen in the middle there is captures, what's happening on, which monitors are being continually affected, impacted by rodent activity. Why is that? This can be internally, this can be externally. Our monitors are completely waterproof, so they can be used in either of those areas. It's no problem at all. They cover rat and they cover mice. So for all the rodent problems in all the locations, the monitors are suitable. And then you can also have on the left, as you can see, the information such as triggers. So these are the trap's gone off, but it's gone off by accident. And that's important because, if it's a system that just says the trap's gone off or it hasn't gone off, then it's not clearly reflecting what's actually happening on site, because it might sure be that monitor is in the wrong place and being set off by footfall, forklift trucks, those kind of things. But it's not pest activity, and if the system's not smart enough to differentiate between that, then it can put you as the pest controller and your customer And it's in quite a difficult situation because it's a false positive about the level of pest activity that you have or have not got. So the system's smart enough to do that, and we can draw that out in the reports that we generate at the end of the process for the customer, for the auditor as well. And this the nice thing about the base system is it constantly develops. We have a team based in the over in the US who are constantly updating the software, are working on this on a regular basis. And so the system grows and it develops and it becomes far more efficient. And we as Bayer in the UK have been trialing and working with the system for the best part of 2 years now, just to understand it and to make sure that we're happy that it's right for the UK market. And one of the things that's developed in that time is heat map technology, and it's just an example of how Bayer are committed to constantly developing the technology that we put within the system, constantly developing how the system improves, and constantly developing the worth of the system. So, with just a switch of a button, your site plan now turns into a heat map that gives you an incredibly precise understanding and history of where the problems are on your site. And anybody who's been away and tried to create something like a heat map will know that it's incredibly difficult and incredibly time consuming. And this literally takes a second now. And it's just an example of the very smart technology and the smart reporting systems that sit within the Bayer Digital Pest Management system, and the tools that are there for whoever's using it to really understand the site itself. And so, a heat map like this really brings the site's issues to your attention immediately and allows you to really think outside the box and work and wonder about how we actually best tackle these issues. So very striking, and these kind of developments are ongoing within the system, and whoever uses the system see these more and more and more as the system becomes better, runs better, and becomes more efficient. It really is a living, breathing system that develops constantly. And anybody who's using the system will see the benefits of that as they go forward through the months and years of use of the digital pest management. So we have spoke to auditors about this. In February, we featured this our digital pest management at the BRC European Food Safety Day, where it was welcomed, and it was seen as a very interesting development by a lot of the food manufacturers who were present there. We've doing various trials with it with AIB over with our colleagues in the US, and our colleagues in the US have had a very successful system based on exactly the same technology that has been commercialized and running there for some time now, with some very useful customers and some very influential customers that are really benefiting from having this ability to understand the rodent activity on site and to be able to manage the site in a much better way, because they have the confidence and the security and the digital safety net underneath that backs up the system when it comes to the movement of rodents and that rodent activity on the site. So this is just a bit of a graph that just kind of indicates who will get what access into the system. So the pest controller and the customer would obviously have two-way access into the system depending on who wants it and who needs it. So they clear access into the different areas and the different site maps and the reporting locations of the Bayer gateway and the actual Bayer system, the Bayer desktop system. But of course, at times you can allow the auditor limited access into those systems. And again, the system's flexible enough to do that, to be able to allow a certain amount of data to be processed and presented for the likes of the audit teams, those kind of things. So very flexible. You can run off the data as and when you need it, as much or as little as you want, across whatever time frame that you need. Anything that's needed to actually meet the requirements of the auditor can be processed and delivered out, within seconds of when it's created in PDF form. And so just to recap and run through, we've got the new digital pest management system. It's available, it's ready to go onto sites as and when people need it. An automated system that gives you that 24/7 alerts, that immediate knowledge of what's going on site. But what we have to bear in mind and mix in with that is that it's not just that the system sends information straight away. It's that the system allows us to be more in depth and better as pest controllers and pest managers, and it improves our integrated pest management because it becomes a tool that allows us to be almost surgical with the way that we do pest control on site. It allows us to direct our treatments in exactly the right location. And I think it's important to say that this system is not either or when it comes to chemistry or digital pest management. You know, systems like this can very much enable and allow the more surgical use of things like rodenticides in treatment areas and locations, and very much support their ongoing use as we go forward. And of course, from a safety point of view, what it does, it reduces the load of rodenticides that need to be applied necessarily to a site. So it makes our chemistry more effective because it allows us to use it in a more precise and surgical way. And then with the reporting aspects that sit at the end of the system, with the reports that can be run off, generated, created, put in the hands of whoever needs them, then it's an incredibly transparent system. And that transparency is good because it allows that dialogue between the professional pest controller and their customer and whoever needs to, and the auditor, whoever needs to be involved in the system. Everyone knows exactly where they are with that rodent management system at that particular moment in time. So the communication between all of those different organisations becomes much clearer, much more to the point. And food safety, food hygiene, those kinds of things must be improved as a part of the process. So just to finish off, it's important to say that the digital pest management system, it has been developed with our colleagues in conjunction with Microsoft. And as I've said already, it will continually improve. We have a high level of IT support that work on this on a permanent basis. That's why it improves, that's why it develops. We've got this dedicated team constantly working on it, constantly upgrading it, bringing more functionality to the system. So it always improves, and with every data refresh, we get more out of the system, and it offers the customer much more. Within the UK itself, we will have a dedicated sales manager, and their role will be to work with whoever is interested in the digital system, be that setup, sales, any aspect of the digital system that we can support with, then we will do. The support will also run through the likes of our partners in this, which will be Killgerm, and the area sales managers. They will be our partner in the actual supply and development of this system. So, working with our sales manager will work hand in hand to support them, but also to support any site that has an interest in this system to make sure that they get the very best out of the system and it goes in the most functional and the most systematic way. We've developed a large range of resources, marketing resources within Bayer itself. So some of you would probably have been into the Bayer website. We'll also have promotion material and equipment that we've developed. We've developed lots of things because we've been working on this on a trial basis for the best part of 2 years. So we've got lots of custom scenarios. We've got lots of experience in different sites and different locations where we've had this technology on trial. And it's important that if anybody is interested in the system, then they do use the knowledge and experience, not only of the Bayer team, but the Killgerm team as well, because we've all had experience of this system, and the Bayer team especially, with the trial sites that we've worked. So when it comes to the actual installation, we've got lots of experience to make sure that if you are interested in the system, it will go in the most efficient and the most effective location within the site itself. So we're here to be used, we're here to advise, we're here to guide, and we're here to support anybody who's got any interest in the system, and we're more than welcome at any time and any place to come and give support and guidance with our colleagues at Killgerm, but also with as ourselves and as the Bayer team. So that's very much running through the system. So we have prevention, we have correction, and then we have the ability to predict as we collect the data and we learn more about the sites. And it's very, very exciting time for Bayer moving into this area. As I said earlier, no one should think that this means that Bayer is moving away from chemical, but it's important that we develop in all areas of the pest control business, and we continue to provide professional pest controllers with the best tools and the best equipment that we possibly can to carry out efficient and successful pest control delivery. And this is just another step by Bayer to make sure that professional pest controllers in the UK have the best possible tools to deliver the best possible solutions for pest prevention and pest management.
Great stuff. Thank you, Richard. We've had some good questions come in, so let me just ask some of these. I'll try and group these together. So What feedback have we had from end users?
Very positive. As I say, we've been able to use it on several locations, and we've been able to develop those trial sites in as many varied locations as we can be, those food processing, warehousing, large office environments, large shopping centres, and it's always the feedback's always been very positive. And I think one thing to remember about the feedback, or bear in mind about the feedback, is that when we have been out there and worked with these trial sites, in a number of cases, these trial sites are incredibly comfortable with this technology because they use this technology elsewhere within their organisation, within their business, for other management purposes, for other other tools within the organisation. The use of digital data is very it's something that they recognise, and it's something that they do on a regular basis. So the actual feedback that we've and the actual information that we received is very positive. And of course, these are trials, so they are, we're working out the best way to do things ourselves. But after 2 years of working with these trial sites, then we are at the very best position that we possibly can be to make sure that when this technology goes into a site, it's done in the right way, and it's done in the most efficient and effective way to give the best possible coverage for the site and the customer.
Okay, great, thank you. Lots of questions around the traps. Do you both have rats and mice?
Yeah, so I did, yeah, definitely. So I did cover it slightly, but I'll do that again. So I probably glossed over it slightly, but yes, so they are traps. They are for rats and mice. The thing to remember is the important things that the traps do is they send a signal. They have to work. They have to behave like a normal trap, but they also, they're very smart. They're very intelligent. They're waterproof. They have to be able to send signals, and it may well be that over time we develop something else, or we develop something different. It is a growing system, and it is a developing system. So, the way that the software and the way that the system's been developed is flexible enough to do that. But yes, they look very much like your standard traps that will very much fit in whatever monitors that you use at this moment in time. So, hopefully there will be minimal disruption to sites that are using traps at this moment in time. Hopefully they'll just simply swap into the monitoring boxes that you're using, and then you've got this safety net of 24/7 monitoring all around the site that's giving you information all the time.
Okay, and the battery life of the traps?
So the battery life of the traps, so the traps themselves, and this system works on something called LoRaWAN. Now, LoRaWAN is low power, wide area network. So the traps themselves use very minimal battery life. In fact, they only use a small amount of battery life every day for a split second when they send a message saying, we are alive, we are functioning, and we are where we should be. So that allows the actual trap life to be quite long, and we would look to 4 to 5 years with these traps. But everything develops, we were looking at far less with that when we started the trial process, and as time goes by, then we'd hope and expect that would improve. But if you look at the 4 to 5 years lifespan, we'd expect that to be a reasonable assumption at this moment in time.
Okay, how many traps can you have on the site?
You can have as many traps as you want. So the traps actually run through a gateway. So each individual trap links up to a gateway. The trap itself does not have any kind of SIM card in it. Basically, all you need to set the traps up on site is a plug. And that means you can plug the gateway in, and then the traps link to the gateway. There is no limit to how many traps can link up to that gateway. It could be 10, it could be 100. The only limit is how far the information from the trap to the gateway will spread. That will vary from site to site. The distance is incredibly good on these traps, but different sites bring us different challenges, which is why it's important that you get the Bayer and the Kilogerm team involved if you are interested in these kind of setups. We can always drop an additional gateway in. That's not a problem. So we can, effectively, we can cover as big or as little area as you want with the system. If one gateway isn't enough, we can always introduce another gateway. But if one gateway is enough, you can link 100, as many traps as you need up to that one gateway. All they're doing is sending a signal, and that gateway is picking it up, and then it's being processed at the back end by the Bayer Microsoft system. And
false positive alerts?
Yeah, so the false positives, so the traps themselves have sensors built into them. So what they allow us to do is understand whether we have or have not got a rodent in the actual monitor itself. And as I said earlier, that's quite useful, because what we don't want is a system that just simply sends a message of yes or no, trap's gone off or trap is set, because that kind of gives a false impression of the site to say a trap could be knocked once a day and go off once a day, but that doesn't mean it's rodent activity. That just means the trap probably needs moving, and the system's going to tell you that over a reasonably short period of time. Excuse me. But yes, so if there's not a rodent in there and the trap goes off, yes, it sends a signal, but it's a different signal to whether there actually is a rodent. So when it comes to the actual data sift at the end of the process, and the reports and the information that you want to run off for the auditor, the customer, whatever, then you can differentiate between the two, and you can show that, you know, yes, the trap has gone off 7 times, but 6 times it was simply a false positive, and unfortunately just the once it was the rodent activity. So yeah, the system will sort that out for you, and that's to do with the technology that's built into the trap.
Okay, great stuff, thank you. Do the pest controllers need extra training for usage? How different are the traps to the standard traps we use now?
Well, the traps themselves are very similar in design to the traps that you use now, but they've got technology built into them. So the actual setup regarding the use of the smartphone, we've all got smartphones. You know, I don't think any pest controller should be worried about this technology. Everybody uses a smartphone, and everybody understands how to, you know, to use barcodes, those kind of things via the smartphone. So I don't think anybody should have any fears about the setup of this. And then when it comes to the actual desktop aspects of it, where you can go into the dashboard and pull off the reports and work with those, then again, that's not difficult to do with a little bit of support and guidance from, you know, the Bayer team and the Killgerm team going forward. Then we can work that out and sit down. So, you know, we do have some small training programs that we can run through with pest controllers, but, you know, in the kind of world we live in, where we use a lot of data all the time, whether we know it or not, then I don't think anybody should be scared of a setup. We're here. We've got dedicated resource. We're going to support our, you know, our colleagues, you know, our distribution colleagues with this. Anybody needs the support. Anybody has any questions whatsoever, then we'll be here to support them. And, you know, we'll come to, at this moment in time, we'll come to any site, on every site, to work through it with them and get the right level of control in place. So no one needs to be fearful about that, because no one will be left alone with the system. You just need to work with us, just as you would do with any Bayer product, to be perfectly honest, and you need the support of the Pest Solutions team. Pick the phone up, speak to us. If we can't sort it over the phone, we'll come and see you.
Thank you, Richard. I'm just conscious on time. We've got a couple of questions on price, so could you just cover that, please?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a product that will be sold through our colleagues at, our distribution partners at Killgerm. So at this moment in time, with this being brand new to the market, what I would say is speak to your area sales manager at Killgerm, and then really we need to come and have a look really and work with all the parties involved, and different sites will require different things. What I would say is that we do perceive this being as at this moment in time, this will be a system for the likes of your large food manufacturers, those kind of things. So, you know, it's not going to be a cost-effective system for something like a domestic property or something like that. It's not that kind of system, and it's not at this moment in time directed to that kind of location. So it's going to be in some of your quite large warehousing, food manufacturing, those are the kind of scenarios where we see that this system fits in well. Speak to us individually, because every site's different. Speak to us, work with us and the Killgerm team, and we'll cut, like you would with any pest control system, really, be it a contract or whatever. Really, someone needs to come do an assessment, and we're happy to help out with that and take it from there.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I'm just conscious of time, so any questions we haven't got around to, I do apologise. However, as Richard said, we will more than welcome to answer those individually, because a lot of these questions are for an individual site basis. So you can get in touch with us through pestsolutions@bayer.com. If you'd like to leave your details there, we can get in contact with you. As I said, this webinar will be recorded and put onto our Bayer YouTube channel, Bayer Pest Solutions UK. So if any of your colleagues can catch up with us today, they can always watch it back then and when they were available. Okay, great, guys. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.